Hi, Pisces. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October 2019. For you this month, there's gonna be a concentration of planets in your eighth house of intimate relationships. And this is a carryover from last month as those planets make their way through Libra. And then over the course of the month, they're going to move into and really form a super concentration in your ninth house of growth and expansion. And Julia, you've got some thoughts about Mercury's activity for Pisces this month.
Oh yeah, I sure do, Jamie. So Pisces, this month, Mercury is going to be entering your ninth house on October 3rd. So when Mercury enters the expansive ninth house, that means that this month you may be much more inclined to learn more about the world. So what does that mean? Maybe you feel like picking up and learning a new language, which maybe you'll use on a future vacation. Or if you do any sort of public speaking, either at job or at school, it could actually go rather well now. Mars this month is going to be moving into your eighth house on October 3rd. And Mars is the planet of action, it's the planet of passion. So when it enters your eighth house this month, the house of physical intimacy, it might be an extra sexy month for you, Pisces. Mars here also might mean that you might be applying yourself more towards your investments, shared resources, and debts, which are all covered by the eighth house as well. That can also mean that you're a little bit more prone to have conflict over shared resources. Might come up with your partner or your family members as well this month too, so watch out for that. And Venus is also going to be going into that ninth house on October 8th. So when Venus is going into this house, and you're lucky enough to say go for a trip this month, maybe travel a little bit, you might meet some really interesting people to date on your trip too. It's good for sort of like romances abroad. And the ninth house, if you're not going anywhere, it's also a very promotional house too. So if you do any type of marketing or if you promote yourself or your business on social media, you could be getting a little extra boost of sort of grace and beauty and luck in how you promote. What do you think of that, Jamie?
Wow, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's such an interesting take on the ninth house. And it's really true. It's the house of broadcasting, it's the house
Yeah.
of big voice, putting it out there for many people to experience. And I think the ninth house has that feeling of expansion, particularly for you, Pisces, because it's another water sign that appears here. And it's almost like saying that you, Pisces, when you when you project, when you can like concentrate yourself and project yourself out like that in a big voice way, that it can be very compelling for those who are experiencing you in that mode. So on the 13th of October, we have a full moon in Aries, which falls in your second house of food, body, money, things that connect us to the physical world. And moon in Aries is it's an emotional moon because it's a full moon. That's always the case, but it's also a little bit explosive, a little bit sparky, a little incendiary. And so some of what this is suggesting to me is that sometimes, Pisces, you can be a little bit out of your body. You can be a little bit lost in a dream, right? But this month, maybe around the full moon, like somewhere, between the 12th and the 14th, it might not be a bad idea to allow yourself to have a little emotional explosion because it might bring you into yourself a little bit more in that grounded way. And that can be a fine thing, actually.
Oh yeah.
And people won't expect it, will they? No.
Pisces is definitely the most dissociative sign, I think.
I think Aquarius can be too for different reasons, but yeah, definitely. Like woo 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 woo. Yeah, I resemble that. So moving along to the 20th of the month, Mercury is going to be starting to slow down around the 20th and getting ready to turn retrograde, which it'll be doing on the 31st. So this is the time to start to sort of tie up the loose ends, because when Mercury retrograde arrives, projects will probably get a little bit tangled up, messages get lost, things can go into a state of disarray. And this is because nature is reminding us that we don't go marching forward in this linear way all the time. Life happens in cycles, in a rhythm. And so Mercury retrograde is there to remind us to turn inward. Now, at this point in the month, too, as the sun moves into Scorpio right here, we begin to see that there's a serious cluster of Scorpio planets happening there in that ninth house. And then on the 27th, there's this new moon in Scorpio there in the ninth house. So I think that really brings a lot of depth, intensity, power to your projection of self through the big voice medium that I was talking about before. And I'm not telling you to go out and get a public speaking gig for October 27th, but I am saying that it's time to plant some seeds for perhaps for ways to get your voice out into the world that are bigger maybe than you've been comfortable with before. Then we come to month end, and on the 31st, just in time for Halloween, Mercury does turn retrograde. And so there's a lot of retrospection on the way. And it's the kind of retrospection that can, I'm going to use some funny contradictory language, that can broaden you in a deep way. Yeah, that's a phrase to ponder on. And that's the good stuff we have for you, Pisces. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always find our horoscopes on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, or at pandoraastrology.com/horoscope. And it's always worth looking at the news of the month aggregated in a playlist on the YouTube channel. There'll be several videos there. One of them is talking about that Mercury retrograde. It's always good to get a jump on that. And then our monthly forecast is jam-packed. So we'll see you next month around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.